Okay, kiddies, what do we have here? Let's just open up this case and find out. It is an Epiphone 1959 ES 355. I got a call from a friend of mine. He was watching one of my videos and seen the setup work that I had done on the Gibson or the Epiphone 1959 Les Pauls. He said, "I'm getting an Epiphone 355. Will you set it up for me?" So we have the fortune of being able to review this guitar. Let's talk about it for a little bit. What I know about it, again, it has the Gibson custom Bucker pickups. It has Switchcraft switch and CTS pots, an ebony fingerboard. And I better look just to make sure, Grover tuners, gold plated hardware. I believe these are actual pearloid inlays, and I guess I just put this up to the camera the best I can. The Gibson open book headstock, just like all the other guitars. This one's beautiful. It's the red. There's three color choices in this guitar. There's a white. There's, I guess you would call this a wine burst. We'll get the specs on what the color is actually called, and I'll post them. And then there's a black one. I think it's a limited edition. I'm not sure that just anybody can get the black one, but it's a really nice guitar. Let's just get a closer look of this guitar before we move on. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it for a little bit. And again, because I'm setting this guitar up, what we're going to end up doing is I'm going to try to do a detailed description on what would be needed to set this guitar up. But let's take this guitar over to the amp and let's just hear it for a minute. And then we're going to dive into some of the particulars on it. So here it is. I'm getting really first impressions on this guitar. I just opened up the case. I haven't heard it yet. A little bit different than the 59 Les Pauls. It has a different feel. Automatically, it's a bigger guitar, and I feel kind of like I should be maybe 7 foot tall for this guitar to fit me. But again, it's an ES. So that's what an ES is, and that's the ES size. The neck itself, it's a D 1959 neck. Feels a little bit more bulky than the 59 Epiphone Les Paul standards. And okay, the knobs are turned down. Let's just play it for a little bit. Listen to the pickups. Again, coming with the custom Bucker pickups. What I'm set up through, I'm running the Vox and then the PV 6505. I've got my effects pedal on. I've got some delay, some chorus, pretty much here in the amp with a little bit of enhancement to it. And I'm running through a 212 mic. It's just a room mic this time. The last video I used my cell phone mic. I just figured I'd do a little bit different this time. I like the sound of those custom Bucker pickups. So I have the guitar, actually the volume, we're on the treble pickup, the volume was down on 5, the tone was at 7, let's take it up to 7, well it's up to 8 right now, and we just hear the same thing again. Play it one more time. So that's just the bass pickup only. Very, very rich. I'm not so sure that it's the hollow, ES hollow body, semi-hollow sound, or is it the custom buckers, or is it both together? Let's just try a couple other things, and then we'll move on. Try that in the bass position. Epiphone 1959 ES355. My thoughts of the guitar. It was a little bit difficult. I've never owned an ES before. Getting used to the bigger body and the little fatter neck on the 59. If you remember the Epiphone Greenie, the action was just way off the fretboard. This action's a little high. Now, I haven't put it on a fret rocker yet, so we're going to check all those things out. I'm probably going to do another video like the one I did before. I'm going to try to continue on with the same video, and we'll set it up and go through the setup and tell you what you need to do when purchasing these guitars. The action's a little high. It has 10s on it. I play 9s. I don't know what your preference is, but I play 9s. So it's a little harder for me to get around, and again, the action is higher. I really believe I could crank this action down right now without any buzzing, without any fretwork at that point in time, but we're going to set it up, and then we're going to check it again, and hopefully I got some tape running that we can still do that. So let's get it over to the over to the piano bench and let's see what we can do. We're going to take his guitar apart here. We're going to look at the pickups. Oh, another point that I was noticing is I did have an ES before. I had an Epiphone Dot, and I didn't really like it. But this has the little pickguard hanger, like the ES 335 on it.
I am going to set up this guitar, and it's not going to be 10. I don't like 10s, I like 9s. Again, my friend, he liked the way it was set up when I had the Les Paul set up with 9, so we're going to set up the ES with 9s also. And this is going to get pretty involved, and I'm going to show you one last thing. Okay, let's set these pickups on. Oh yes, let's get these strings on. ABR style bridge, and it's all gold hardware. So we're going to set this off to the side, and this guitar will get the intonation set.
Here is the bridge again, just like the Les Paul, no markings. And it says, it looks like B2. That's gold hardware. Little thumb screws on here, and let's just look at that. Custom bucker. There's a number. There's 62424 is when it was made. And it says patent applied for in the black right there. Down in the channel. Looks pretty clean in there. Yeah, I like that channel. When I first heard some people saying, hey, I heard you can buff these guitars, I was like, I wouldn't do that because matte finish is what it is. It's a different type of polyurethane, and these guitars are not lacquer, they're polyurethane from my understanding. Usually a matte finish, you can't buff it out, but this was able to buff out, and you can almost see in the light, you can see orange peel on there. Now, if you're not familiar with, body work, what orange peel is, when the paint goes on, there's little, you see them almost like bubbles in there. So the orange peel was still in this finish, and I took the rubbing compound and just kind of buffed it down to bring out a shine. I do believe if I was to have a buffing wheel, which I don't have, and put this on here, I believe that I would get a better result. Now, and we're not talking about the ES, but we're going to do this to the ES, and I want to explain to you a little bit before we do this. Right there, it's rocking. I've only got one hand to do this with. So we're going to have trouble. I'm probably not going to get all the way through the video. I'm going to leave somewhere up here it's rocking again. There's more than one fret that is off. And try to find them again. So this guitar is going to need, there we go. There's about 5 or 6 places on the fretboard that need, I'm just going to do a complete file and recrown on the whole fretboard. I'm going to polish the guitar like I polished Epiphone Les Paul. And we'll set the truss rod. Where I was going just before I figured out my camera, this is a StewMac tool right here. Epiphone uses 4mm truss rods for the adjustment. And this tool right here, you can Google it on YouTube. You can search it on YouTube. They have it on YouTube. And you go to their site, you just put in truss rod tools. The tip of it is worked in such a way that if somebody kind of gashes out the truss rod, you can still adjust the truss rod with this tool. But we're going to take the, we've got to do a couple things here. We're going to take and straighten the fretboard out before we sand it. When you're adjusting a truss rod, never more than 1/4 of a turn. Now let's see where we're at with this neck. Boy, that was enough. So I always take them off. Keep the metal foulings out of there. Probably get some metal foulings in the F-holes also. And since we're at it, let's get started with everything. The whole fretboard, once the frets become, the fret spacings become wider than the tape, then you have to start ripping it. I'll show you what I do, how I handle this. We're taping up here because I'm going to be using files. And as you've seen the Epiphone Les Paul 1959, put a little scratch right here. And I think I even had it taped off when I did that too, to be honest with you. We'll be filing around all of here. This fretboard is going to play exceptionally when I'm done. I'm sure I've done this more than one time. Never had a problem with it. You'll tape right there, put a piece of tape there, real quick, just like that. And we're going to stop when I get to where I have to start ripping the tape, and then we'll pick up after that. But just tape it off just like that. Tape your frets just like this. I think we'll get one or two more frets out of this tape. Probably this will be the last one. Yep, and from there on out, we're going to, I'm going to tape this because we're going to be working on the nut too. This just all protects everything. So what you do from here on out, I do this, you could probably cut this with scissors. It's quicker for me. I rip a piece like that, and then I just set it in right there like that. So what we want to do is just, now what we're doing is we're going the whole way up the fretboard. One sweep. We're not going up and back and up and back, because what's that going to have? You're going to have one pass here, but two passes in the middle. And we want to just foul in the same direction. A lot of people are very shy with this. And take this file, and we could start to round off the edges. Just like that. Let's do it again. You see the tape is ripping off, and I can feel grit from the sandpaper. Okay. Couple more passes. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Light pass on the edge. And again, the fret was rocking right here. It's not. This might be all we need. Now realize we've just taken the high spots off, and we can become more aggressive with the sandpaper. What we don't want to do is take too much fret material off, because the more material, you can't put it back. You take too much off, and your only alternative is a refret at that point in time. But if you've never done this before and you want to try it, the best route is one pass, check it. Another pass, check it. Another pass, check it, until it gets to the point where it's perfect. So the next step, I'm going to get some sandpaper. I'm going to get, this will level the fretboard even further. We're going to take the 220 grit. So all I have right now is 220 grit and 600 grit. This file right here, I bought at Harbor Freight Tools. And I took a grinder and I grinded the edge off. So when I turn this and I do the nubs on the frets, this won't be digging into the fretboard. You can buy tools like this from StewMac that probably are built a little bit better than this one, but I made that myself. So we're going to take the 220 grit on the 12-inch radius sanding block, and we're going to take those filing scratches out. So after the 600 grit, I take the Scotch-Brite and really polish that up. Now we're going to do this again with the Scotch-Brite. And the next step, we're going to put the fret rocker back on and just see how good of a job we've done. If it's rocking, you're not done. Not one fret is off. Okay. The next step, this file right here that I showed you. This is not it. Where's the other one at? It's right here. This is what this file is right here. See, I didn't grind these ends on this. If you look at this one, this end is ground really well. And I'll put that in my cell phone. You can see right there just how well that end has been ground down. That one's not. That one's not. So you got to be careful. You got to make sure if you do this, you use that end. So we're going to grind these nubs off. I like to be aggressive. I'm not shy. I've seen people just a couple little passes. And you got to keep track. Yeah, it's getting there. Okay, so the next thing, 220. You gotta get those file marks out. Almost dropped my guitar on the ground. Okay, you've seen this before. Sharpie. Here is the fret tool. You can see how it's grooved out to file the frets. Here's a wider side and there's a skinnier side. So we're going to just take this and we're going to file those frets, and what we want is that black line to get very, very thin, and when we know that, we have a crown on top of the frets. Okay. Now that the frets are done, we're going back to sandpaper, but we're going to start with the 600 and go to the Scotch-Brite.
it's not going to take much material off at all. I'm really just going to polish it. And then we're going to go to Scotch-Brite. And this is, look how worn that is.
So, if you have watched my channel in the past, you've seen me do this. This is Scotch-Brite rubbing compound. I bought it in an automotive shop. Different people have different preferences. That was what was on the shelf. That's what I bought. It works. So, that's what I use. Safety drummer. I'm only going to show all these. My camera bag, my
Video camera got full of video, so I can't video anymore. So, just a couple. Just polishing. And no sound. I'm going to do all these, I'll turn the video camera back on and show you what it looks like.
So there you have it. Quick look. Those are really shining. No scratches anywhere on that fretboard. I haven't taken the tape off. Actually, at this point in time, I could take the tape off. The corners, see how well they're filed? So the next step, to get the guitar to play well, the nut's gonna have to be taken care of. What you do is you want the high E string to kind of set a little, we're gonna file the top of this off, okay? You want the high E string to set a little bit above the top of this, or the low E string, and the high E string should just rest in there. And then I have nut slotting files, and we will cut a groove in here at an angle like this, because you want the string to rest on the very front of the nut. You don't want it resting on the back. If you cut the angle this way, it'll rest on the back. Your intonation will be off. And I usually use a thin pick, and I get it to where I can just slide that thin pick on there, and that's just enough. And then I'll, as I said, file this down to where the high E string's just sitting inside of there. The low E string actually is up above the net, and then we polish the nut up really good. And then the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the pick guard off. We're gonna take the rest of the bridge. We're gonna take off the volume knobs, and we're gonna polish this up real well. Okay, so here we have the 1959 Epiphone 355 reissue. This is the guitar after I worked on it. I did the setup work. Just to get into what I had to do, the headstock didn't need buffed out. It was actually buffed out pretty well. So I did go over it just a little bit and then decided it was really nice, so I just left it alone. The nut, I had to file these down until I got them low enough. What I do is I stick a thin pick underneath it there. If it holds the thin pick in place, it's at the correct height. I learned that from another luthier. You could use filler gauges to judge that. And what you would do is you would push it down here and then measure the gap right here with the filler gauge. I just stick that thin pick underneath of there. So I continually file these until I get that. And then I sanded the top of this, and it doesn't look too bad. I sanded it with 250 grit, 600 grit, and then I went over it with the Scotch-Brite, and I put a little bit of graphite from a pencil in there just to allow that to flow. I filed, recrowned the fretboard, and I filed the nubs on the end. And if you look at the fretboard, it looks pretty nice. A couple frets on the D and G string are a little right there. You can feel the scratches when you bend the notes. You just work them like that, and eventually that'll work its way out. And then I buffed the top. I want to get into this in a little bit of detail. if you know what orange peel was, if you would run your hand across the top, you could feel like a grittiness to it. I don't know what the best word to use to describe it. So I used the rubbing compound and I wiped small areas until I got it all wiped down. I did the whole guitar, front, back, sides, and you can see it has a little bit of a shine to it. Now, I don't know if you can see this with the camera, but you can see it just slightly. Just me hand rubbing it, there's still a little bit of orange peel in it, but it's been taken care of. It feels smooth. It has a little bit of a shine. It doesn't have that Gibson off the factory shine to it, but it does have a shine to it. Actually, it does look vintage. Their claim is, and you can see a little bit of rubbing compound still underneath of there that I didn't get out. It looks a little vintage with this way of doing it. I'm a little bit set back about the polishing. I think they could have polished this guitar without any problem. I'll double check, but Epiphones are not lacquer. They're a polyurethane that's sprayed on them. And if it's something different than that, I'll post it below. I'll look on the website and see if they have any specs on what kind of finish is put on it. So, and then I changed the strings to 9s. I always use 9s. I've been using them forever. The guitar is finished. I've tried it, played it. I'm going to go over to the amplifiers and play for a couple minutes, and we'll let you go from there. Okay, right here, I'm playing through the Vox AC30 and the PV6505. I'm going through my effects pedal. I have some chorus and delay on, and the guitar is adjusted. Everything is on 7. I think it sounds pretty nice. The feel of the guitar, it feels completely different. I had to get used to that, just a ES feel. It's a bigger guitar, a little bit fatter of a neck. And when I went from 10s down to 9s, I played it after I did the setup. It felt a little funky because this guitar might be made to have 10s put on it. Of course, BB King uses an ES, and he uses, I believe, 8s, from what I understand, or uses. I'm just going to play a few things, and we'll leave it at that. Take the chorus off for a little bit, just so you can hear the guitar without the effect. There is going to be a delay on here. Shouldn't alter the sound of the tone of the instrument. add a little bit of grit to the sound. I'll leave the delay on. It's been a while since I played this, so bear. Thing I'm going to try. That run in the middle two positions. I like how that warms up. And let's try it in the bass position. I'll do one more thing. We'll try all three pickups the same. I'm going to take the chorus off, leave the delay on. Let's try it in the middle position. Position. Okay, there you have it, kiddies. Epiphone 1959 ES355. My thoughts on the guitar. Again, I continually say this, and I think everybody should be aware of this. After the guitar is set up, it's a wonderful instrument. But if you're expecting out of the box to get a Gibson ES355, you're going to be disappointed. These guitars require, after purchase, setup. And once they're set up, they perform exceptionally. They sound, look, and play exceptionally. There's no problems with this guitar. I did a lot of work on it, however. I believe I went through everything with you on what to do. My name's Paul David. This is Fat Boy Music. If you liked what you're getting, the content you're getting from this channel, please like and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching my channel.